So today I'm going to show you how I made this large, heavy behemoth of a blanket. This is immediately going to go out of focus, but let me just show you how large this blanket is. Can you see me? She thick. I can't even get it all in frame while I'm also in the picture. Ooh! This has been the project that I have been working on for the last couple of months. I really enjoyed the process of making it, and it's easily the heaviest and probably the warmest blanket that we may ever have. It uses so much yarn because of the stitch that makes it so beautiful. So I use the Alpine stitch throughout, which adds like an extra step to your double crochet, which uses a ton more yarn than your standard double crochet, but it makes it really, really dense, quite fluffy, and it adds this really beautiful texture throughout. To make this blanket, you will just need to know how to do a single crochet and a double crochet, and then I'll show you the little modification that makes it into the Alpine stitch. So let's start with these stats, shall we? I have them on my phone. So the blanket itself is about a 75-inch square, and it's that size through pure accident, really. I essentially did the first couple of rows just like willy-nilly. I didn't size it out, and then I kind of decided that it was way too big, but had to keep going anyway. And I do a little bit wish that at that point, when it was still not going to be such a time suck to unravel it all, that I had made it a little bit smaller. But because I made it so big, it fits really well on our double-sized bed. There is a bit of stretch with this blanket, like vertically and horizontally, so it does kind of, I feel, flow a little bit longer than it is, but I did everything to measurement after I decided that it was going to be a 75-inch square, so it should be right around that mark. I used approximately, and I basically did this, kind of flew by the seat of my pants in the design of this blanket, in that I didn't design it in advance and just kind of went with what felt right and then kept going until it made sense. So I didn't buy like a ton of yarn when I first started. I only bought one of the big skeins of the white and then one each of the colors, and ran out of all of them almost immediately. So to do the exact type of blanket that I have done, you will need 10 skeins of the extra large Lion Brand Thick and Quick. I think they call it the extra bundle when it's 200 something yards. And for each of the stripe colors, you're going to need 3 skeins of the standard size Lion Brand Thick and Quick skein. And that's total per color, it's not 3 per literal stripe. And obviously you'll need a crochet hook. I used a 10mm crochet hook for this project. The colors that I used in this blanket are they're all Lion Brand. The white is Fisherman, the navy is Navy, the gray is Chicago Charcoal, and the yellow is Madison Mustard. And those are across a couple of different lines. The yellow and the gray, I believe, are in like the Homestead line or Homecoming line, something to that point. And then the other two are that Thick and Quick extra large bundle size. And I should note, the navy that I used, I could only find it in that larger bundle size, and unfortunately it's not quite enough to do both stripes. I ended with like, I don't know, 2 feet of the last stripe row left and had to go out by one more giant skein of the navy to finish like this much blanket. The entirety of this blanket is done with the Alpine stitch, which looks a lot more complicated than it actually is, but essentially you're just doing a modified double crochet every other stitch until you're done. And here is a little tutorial of how you do the Alpine stitch.
Chain 2 so you can turn again, and that is going to count as our first double crochet. All of these double crochets that we created are going to create what we call the posts. So the Alpine stitch is just a front post double crochet, and we're going to go every other with that stitch and just a standard double crochet. So our chain is counting as our first double crochet here. It is attached at the top to that previous double crochet. So what we're going to do is that first modified double crochet stitch, the front post double crochet. So pull the yarn through and make sure you give it a little tug so that we're pulled all the way up onto the same line. If you don't make sure that it's going to be even with your regular row of double crochet, the whole project's going to kind of curl in on itself. And then finish that double crochet stitch. So you just pull through 2 and pull through 2 again. Our next stitch is going to be just a regular double crochet, and you're going to do that into the top loop above that post. So see the next post, and we're going to do a double crochet into the top loop above it. Now we're on to the next front post double crochet. So yarn over and go through that post. Pull up so that you're going to be even with that double crochet row. Then pull through 2 and pull through 2 again. And that's what creates the pattern. So those are our 2 stitches. It's super easy and it creates a really, really beautiful pattern. We're going to just continue this through the entire row. Every other stitch is going to be the front post double crochet and then a regular double crochet. You don't ever want to have your very last stitch be a front post double crochet. So in this case, this row is going to call for the end being 2 double crochets in a row. That's perfectly fine. It's just going to make sure that our end is nice and clean instead of having a weird wobbly end.
And that's it. That's how I made this enormous blanket. Time-wise, it took me about a month and a half to 2 months of, like, obviously off and on time creating the blanket, and I don't have a set number of hours for you because I don't really want to know how much time that I spent making this blanket, but it was a long amount of time. I've watched so much Outlander and Shameless, 2 very different vibes for like a very wholesome kind of blanket. That's all I got for you. I hope you at least found it interesting. Let me know if you're going to be creating a blanket or a scarf or anything of your own with this kind of vibe or this stitch, and I'll see you online.